Hey everyone, it's Friday today, but this week's Friday fix is going to have to be a little bit different because the weather on the Gold Coast has not been ideal for once. So this week I thought I would show you what is inside a tour yardage book. So you might never have really thought about it before, or you might have been watching players on TV studying this with their caddy out on the course, and you might have thought, what are they actually looking at? So we're going to go through exactly what is in here, all the information. You might have course books at your local golf club. Same premise, same idea, obviously just a lot more detailed as we are not allowed any kind of measuring distance devices. So we need all the information we can possibly get in here. So this one I've got is just a random one I pulled out. This is the Australian Ladies Classic from last year, 2019, at Bombville International Golf Resort. So beautiful golf course. If you've never played it before, might give you a bit of an insight, and if you have, then maybe this will help you out and you'll recognize a few of the holes. So let's have a look and let's get into it. Okay, so this is the very first page that you'll find when you open up a yardage book, the legend page, as you can see, which gives you all the different keys for what you might find on any given hole on the book. So you've got some of the obvious ones like bunkers, you've got the different carries to the different sections here, hazards, you've got mounds, there's some topography markings there you can see, there's slopes, which are these arrows here. The different arrows are the different severity of the slopes. So many different things. We also have this here, this compass, which you will find on every hole, every page of the book. And that is really great for knowing which way the wind is coming from, which obviously is going to affect how you play the hole. So I actually write down the wind, the forecast for every round I play, including the practice round. I'll throw that up there to show you. And yeah, once I know which way the wind's going to be coming from, then that helps me a lot when I get out there judging how I'm going to play each hole. So that's great to know as well. And I suppose one of the most important things is these paint markings here. You can see this says that this red paint dot is 100. Really, they're all random. We have different colors, different shapes, and they're all completely random numbers. A lot of the times in pro-ams, amateurs will ask, you know, how far all the dots are, but unfortunately for them, they are just random. So just depending on, I suppose that's judged on where we will all land. So the most important thing to know with that though, with these paint markings and the sprinkler heads, drains, etc., all those measurements for those distances are all measured to the front of the greens. So the reason for that is we have our number to the front, and then we will add on our pin. So we get a pin sheet before every round, usually the night before. We can then go through the whole book and write all our pins in on each hole so we know exactly where the hole is going to be cut. So that's what this is for. On the back of our pin sheet here, we have a timing schedule, just to keep us on track for the day as well. So that's pretty much what we'll find in the book, and we'll go through a couple of holes now and see how it all correlates over to what it looks like on a hole. Okay, so this here is the 7th hole at Bombville, as we know. So when we first get our yardage book for the week, they come as they are printed, and then we will obviously add a lot of notes ourselves, both in the practice rounds and then during the tournament rounds as well, which helps us as we get on further on into the week. So this hole here, if you haven't seen it before, here is a real life picture that's printed in the book, so we get a good idea, if we're not out there, of what it actually looks like. So it's a beautiful par 5, and this sets up perfectly for me this hole because I hit a draw naturally. So I've got written here in my notes that I want to tee it up on the right half of the tee and hit driver down the right bunkers, and then they will finish on the greenside bunkers. So it'll come down here and finish in line with this greenside bunker here. And I often write which side of the tee box I want to tee it up on. It might not be something you've really thought about before, but it really helps in setting up good angles, you know, away from the trouble. So that might be something to think about as well, as long as you sort of know what shot shape you're hitting. So really my game plan for this hole is fairly simple. I'll be hitting my driver, as I said, And generally, as long as I hit a good drive, I will finish down this hill that you can see, big slope, and I should finish down there, meaning that I can get to this green in 2. However, you always have to have a plan B. Things don't always go to plan. So I have drawn in here a little box. That's my layup area for if I have had a wayward drive and I've got to lay it up. I've drawn that box there. The reason I haven't drawn it down here near the end of the fairway is you can see there's a big slope here. If you get too close, you'll sort of run down into the hazard possibly, or you'll have a really nasty downhill lie hitting to an elevated green, which is not ideal. So that's why the box is back here, and then it'll still sort of roll down in giving us a nice full wedge shot into the green. So moving up onto the green, if I'm hitting my second shot in, obviously it'll be a longer club and a lot tougher shot. I've got a perfect sort of bailout spot is over on the left here. You can see I've drawn a couple of ticks and it really feeds in, big slope here on the left. So that's a great spot to miss and it still would possibly feed onto the green. Where not to go, I think is pretty obvious. These red arrows, that's pretty much dead over there. And short of the green here, there is a massive drop-off area where you'll end up with a nasty into the grain chip from the bottom of this hill if you don't quite have enough club. So great spot to be there, ideally on the green. And if you're hitting your third shot in, as I said, that'll probably be more likely a wedge, so we would hope to end up a lot closer. Obviously here, we just need to make sure we're on the right section of green. There are 3 tiers, and as long as you're sort of on the right one of those for wherever the pin is, then you should end up with a nice birdie putt at least. Okay, so now we're on the 9th hole, and I thought on this hole I would give a little bit more of an in-depth run through of all the numbers and then sort of my notes that you might have seen on the previous hole that I've written in. So you'll see there's a lot of red numbers, there's red ones and there's blue ones. These red numbers are all 2 something, so 196 plus 1 to the end of this fairway, 188 plus 1 to this bunker, etc. These blue numbers carry distances over something, so obviously to carry this bunker and things like that. You can see where it says 186, there's a little -1 there. That is just the elevation, so from the tee to that point is 1 meter, is playing down 1 meter. So you also have to add those into your calculations. They're all written out in the book as well. So you can see from that red dot there, that is 100 meters plus 6 uphill to the green. That's to the front of the green, and then we add on our pin. So many numbers there, but just wherever you land, you're only going to need to know a couple of those. And then moving up, you can see the green here. We've got our grid on there, so when we've marked our pin in, we'll know exactly where it is. And I like to draw little boxes, you can see there. That's where I want to be putting from to those particular pins. So that's planned out in advance before I play the hole. You can see then I have got a lot of notes up here, which probably won't make sense to anyone, but I obviously know what they all mean. Basically, I've got my practice round and then rounds 1 to 4 written in, just what I've done basically for every shot, which helps me know all my stats and helps me know sort of what I'm doing right or wrong on the hole, what club I've been hitting in, etc. And then I've got my notes. Here I've got what I wanted to hit off the tee in different conditions. So 4 iron, but then 5 wood if it's wet, and I want to be down the right half. We've got the wind here. That'll be all taken into account as well. So there you go, that's a pretty quick run through of what you'll find in a pro yardage book. Obviously, all players will have different things in their books. I showed you guys a couple videos ago, I have my wedge distances written in the back of my book, as well as that wind map I put up earlier. So you could find anything. A lot of people might write their swing thoughts, some nice positive affirmations, things like that. But that is quite a general overview of what you will find in a pro yardage book. So I hope you enjoyed a bit of a different insight there. Next week I'll be back out on the course for my next Friday fix. So send in your suggestions and I'll try and get it covered, and I'll see you then.